My last question on this one, yeah. Do you think Tierney could have a future at Arsenal at left centre back? Somebody that is bedded into the squad. Doesn't look like he's leaving. We speculated earlier on this preseason that he might be out the door, but why we want to keep him? Of course, we're talking about Kieran Tierney.
My guy.
Kieran Tierney has it looks like over the US tour, he's had a change of heart. Doesn't look like there's any particular suitors for him. Maybe the price that Arsenal want has scared people off. But Kieran Tierney looks like, I think he's come out and said that he's enjoying the challenge and the learning process of learning how to, I guess, invert as a left back. And he is happy at Arsenal. And I think, listen, we've heard a lot of players say they're happy somewhere and that, my future's not in my hands and we'll see what happens and all those kind of cliche phrases when it comes to transfers. But I think, we're both very happy with, I guess it's the attitude. And this is what, in many Arsenal fans' eyes, what they kind of saw within someone that we were all saying should be our next captain. Someone that should be the captain should be willing to, yes, I need to, knuckle down. If this is, the adaptation to my role, then I need to go and learn how to do this sort of thing if I want to, make it at this club. And in fact, before I continue, what was your reaction to seeing all of those kind of comments and stuff by Kieran Tierney?
I was really happy because I think since the season ended, we had all this speculation that Newcastle, it's close to home. Remember in the Amazon documentary, he said he got homesick and he didn't play 7 starts. And this story was built. And obviously, there may be some truth to it because feelers may have been put out and people who have closer links to the club, may confirm some things that if a bid came in. But we never heard from the horse's mouth. We never heard from Arteta or anybody at the club to say that, or even giving us the hint that they're happy they want Tierney to go. It was all speculation from, he hasn't started a pre-season game. He hasn't this, he hasn't that. And in terms of what he said, it warmed my heart. I mean, I tried to look myself in the mirror and be like, am I doing, I really like this player kind of thing and trying to always see the good. And I can totally see, where he isn't fitting our style. But for him to come out and say he is happy, he's fine with the competition, he knows he didn't start a lot of games, and that means he just needs to, he even said, I think to an extent that he didn't start a lot of games, but he came on and helped the team and he was happy with the role he was playing, whether that's to try and get a goal or to see the game out, which again is just, that really, it warms my heart because he saw a role where other people were thinking, he's done out, he's done this and that, and written him off. Even him saying, giving, praise to Zinchenko and the way he does his role and trying to emulate that and realizing that we're playing a different way. I've got to be able to play that way. You know what I mean? And as much as we see some of these guys, you see Tierney as a bit of a kick and run, byline, get it in the box. I'm telling you, these guys they're ballers. They are really good football players. And yes, some of it shows more than others. And I know Tierney, he has good technique. It's just more in terms of the composure. Again, we forget Zinchenko trained as a 10. He's a midfielder almost by trade and has found himself back in left back, where Tierney is always been a winger, if my research is fine. So it's not going to be easy for him to now come inside and try to be doing all these cute plays. But I was really impressed with him playing against Man United. I thought he came off the bench and played really well. And I thought another great cameo today. So I was really up some of that when he came out with those comments, because I know a lot of people feel like he's going to be a source of income for Arsenal to bring in more players. And I'm just happy that he's very satisfied at the club. And I think that puts people like Arteta and Edu's mind at rest, where it's not a thing where it's like, well, we may have to look for a club for you because this is the role we have for you, blah, blah, blah. So, and that's a player that it's all right. We don't need to worry about him. He's a hard worker. He doesn't come on. He doesn't cry. He doesn't slouch. He's just here, shirt tucked in, ready to go. Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
I think, like you said, there's a lot of positives and good attitude, and trying to be adaptable. He's seen the way the club is going in terms of his position and how he wants to play, and he's going to try and do his best to emulate that. Now, on the flip side, the pecking order is mad.
Very
like
mad.
we know like Zinchenko is probably first choice. Kivior, that we I guess thought was a backup as a centre back, has probably played more games now as a inverting left back than a centre back, playing it very well as well. Tomiyasu, we obviously know that he's been deployed there in the past. In pre-season, he's been deployed there. Against Barcelona, Timber was at left back.
Yeah,
that's 4 names I've mentioned before Tierney. Now, to the point of the whole inversion and how easy, and obviously you mentioned Zinchenko's past and that. Timber, I noticed, wasn't on inverting Bear from left back.
It was weird. He was doing like he was like, again, I feel like, what the most important thing I'm going to say here is everyone's going to invert differently. And we've seen Zinchenko invert and end up at right attacking mid. You know what I mean? And I think that's just the way he likes to do it. Where Timber was more inverting, but he was just more making inverted runs because he's coming from onto his right. So he's stepping in and then running into the field, which I thought was great. He had a great game. But it's not always going to look like how we've seen it. And I think that's what we need to get out of our mind. And even what Tierney needs to, if I was going to tell him anything, invert the way you like invert in a way which is going to, if that's your role. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, and I'm clocked. I think Ben White played. So Ben White's going to be the one who's tucking in. So Timber will do the inverting. And I think against United, Tierney was doing the same thing. I think we had, who was on the right? I think it was Timber at the time. I think it was him. And he was playing on the right and doing the inverting. And then Tierney was doing the Ben White role on the left. So there's a role for him there, man. But yeah, like you were saying, Timber was not inverting the way we're used to inverting, but was kind of doing it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I mean, what I was going to say is, obviously, despite there being, by all accounts, 4 choices to do that before Tierney, again, like, depending on the situation, Tierney can be the bog standard, British left back that we need, depending on who he comes up against. We saw situations last year, maybe where Arteta didn't even take Zinchenko off early enough and things went wrong. We dropped points or, conceded a goal, whatever the case may be. Instead, when you could have just put, the quote unquote left back as they used to be designed in Tierney into that position and just let him clean up and do what he does best. So there is still a role for him because that situation will happen. And even like we've always said, we want something different up front. Why shouldn't we want something different in other places on the pitch? My only issue is, again, it is an extremely hard sell to tell a man ultimately your 5th choice, or you are just, your usage is dependent on this situation arising. So it's very, very difficult. I guess at the same time, he probably will get a lot of matches. We've seen obviously Tomiyasu have his injury issues in the last few years. We've seen Zinchenko have the same. So all of a sudden you're down to Kivior, who's probably a high choice right now as a left back. Timber, if it comes to that, and then Tierney is there, who also has his own injury issues all the time. So it's difficult. I love the attitude. I'm happy for him to stay. I want him to stay, and I want him to try and do what it takes to get into the team and stuff like that. But I just still feel like the axe is almost, it's over his head. If it's not this season, then it could be middle of the season. It could be next summer.
I think there is the possibility for it, and we never know. I think Newcastle are selling Saint Maximin to Saudi or something.
Yeah, he's gone.
Said before, but either way, that's given them more opportunity to maybe come back in, maybe with a bigger bid for someone like Tierney who would suit their situation and stuff. I just don't think it'll be a thing where he'll be like wanting to leave. It's more like this is the situation. And I think he'll be like, yeah, it's all right, it's cool. My only thing to what you were saying about him being fifth choice is that I think it's a game state thing. And I think we've got to remember that Kiwior is maybe the only natural replacement for Gabriel. And Gabriel played 38 Premier League games last season.
Yeah.
And he's going to need to sit down sometimes. And then all of a sudden, you know, yeah, Zinchenko's there. But if Zinchenko's not playing, then Tierney's our only left back. Now that we've got Timber, we could do the inverting thing from the right with Timber and let Tierney do the Ben White role on the opposite side. You know what I mean? Or if the injury situation is different, again, he's not inverting to the same level, but he's shown, and I felt like at certain points in the season in random games, he wasn't that bad. When we had the ball, he was okay. I just think, yes, stylistically, it's not what he's naturally okay to do, and you can see that it's a bit of a hard sell in terms of him doing it, but I don't think he's horrible to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, what is this guy doing? It's definitely not to the level, and you can see the drop in quality when someone else who's not Zinchenko is doing it. But I think even all the seeing if Kiwior can do it, seeing if Timber can do it, all this stuff is just letting Arteta know, giving him more information to know when injuries inevitably come. Like he said last time we were here.
Yeah.
Who am I plugging in? How do we make sure we play the same way? Do we invert from the right? Do we invert from the left? Are you doing the Ben White role here? Is Ben White over there doing, you know what I mean? And I think that's all he wants. He wants that unpredictability. You know, we don't know which way we're going to play. We look at the team and we just think, okay, I think this is what's going to happen, and we won't even know. And I love that for us. So yeah.
He wants them options and the versatility in the squad. My last question on this one, do you think Tierney could have a future at Arsenal at left centre back?
100%. This is why I'm saying the whole him becoming the third centre back thing works, because there's been times when he's played for Scotland as a centre back. He naturally plays as a centre back sometimes, with Robertson more with the left back role. He can do that, and I know his height might play into it a little bit, but in a 3, he's got the combativeness. I think he's got the defensive awareness, and especially in the way we play, he could easily slot into that left centre back type role, go high and wide, not high and wide, like wide and stuff like that. I mean, I think there is a possibility there for him. Again, I wish he was a little bit taller. I think that would definitely do a lot more for him in terms of, like, you know, centre back. But in a 3, 100%, I'd be very comfortable with that. Again, maybe my bias is coming out, but I just think he's a type of player where the attitude is just it's like his whole personality, his persona. I think you need characters like that, you know. Players who they're mad professional and passionate. You know, he just gives me the vibes where it's like, even if things aren't going my way, I'm gonna put on the shirt when I'm called upon, and I'm gonna play. And I know these people individually in their own homes, they have their own ambitions and stuff like that. But yeah, he gives me them vibes. But left centre back, I'm here for it. I mean, I don't know. Do you think that's something you'd be comfortable with if Timber's inverting or whatever?
I think so. If we're prepared to put Timber at centre back, if we're talking from a height point of view, and of course Timber is a better technical player, I don't see why Tierney, who has experience at centre back already, shouldn't be afforded the opportunity to play centre back. Especially where, you know, there's certain people in the camp calling out Gabriel. Gabriel has his mistakes, which we can all acknowledge, but you know, he's a great player. Kiwior can play centre back as well, but we can see him turn up at left back. So again, this could be, instead of trying to learn a whole new position or a new way of playing, this could be him reverting to another way of what he already knows and sliding into centre back. So listen, Kieran Tierney it might be one of them players that, you know, you hear about, the Jorginhos and Elneny's. They're just good to have. They're good people in the dressing room and all of that. And despite he seems to be a bit of a quiet person amongst the team, when it comes to playing football and being on that pitch, he gives his all. So I definitely think we can't afford to get rid of him just yet. At least one more season while we're bedded in this other stuff in the team. Yeah,
I mean, just on that, I think the one person who may have maybe put a nail in Tierney's coffin if he was playing well or available would be Tomiyasu. And he's a guy where he just seems like he's really out of sorts at the moment, unfortunately. But if he was doing what he was doing, you know, quite well, then we may be having a different conversation. But as for now, he played that left back role, trying to invert as well, or whatever it was. I mean, that left back Tomiyasu thing, I'm not even too sold on it personally. It worked against Salah, you know, and he played really well.
Literally Salah, because I remember when he tried it the week after and it didn't work.
Didn't work, literally just Salah, who plays a very certain way. And in theory, it'd be great if he could do that, but you know, yeah. So I just think his whole situation is, you know, giving Tierney the opportunity to show what he can do, and then Tomiyasu's injury prone anyway, so you know they all are in a sense. So yeah, it's good to just have the numbers at this rate. But yeah, man, I'm here for Tierney staying. I'm happy with those quotes, and yeah, man, let's just see what he can do, whether it's one more season or not.